down. Finish. Oh.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's been a long time since I've seen you. You were in Texas the last time I think I saw you handing out medals at the North Texas State Championships.
For like 2017,
Yeah.
I think.
Yep. Yeah.
It's crazy.
How was training today?
It was good. We had a good training, kind of easy. Hopefully tonight's easy.
Are you pretty worn out getting ready for the games, or are you like, you feel like you could really go hard?
I mean, I'm tired. Like, I feel like we've just been like training a ton, but at the same time, I'm ready. I'm ready to get out there and go.
Cool.
My name's Nicole Ahsinger. I'm from San Diego, California, and I currently train at Trampoline and Tumbling Express in Lafayette, Louisiana.
How did you start gymnastics, and how old were you?
So I started trampoline when I was 3 years old. My dad brought me to a trampoline gym. My mother was an artistic gymnast, and she did not want me to be a gymnast at all, but my dad did. So he brought me to a trampoline gym in San Diego, and I immediately fell in love with it. I came home the very first day and screamed at my mom that I was going to the Olympics, and she just was like, "You're a cute little girl." But
what do you know?
I mean, now 20 years later, here I am going to my second Olympic Games.
Yeah, 2 points for dad.
Yeah.
Cool. Who was your first coach?
My first coach was Doug Boger. He was literally the best coach ever. And then he ended up moving to Colorado. So then I switched to Steve Roscoe, and he coached me from probably age 12 to age 16. And then I moved to Lafayette, Louisiana. And then Dmitri has been my coach since I was 16 to now 23.
Awesome. What is the process that you get named the Olympian?
So we had 3 trials for this Olympic Games. Our first trial was held in Birmingham, Alabama. And then our second trial was either held in Ohio or Italy. And then the last trial was held in St. Louis, Missouri. I went to Italy because I was selected I had the most amount of points to be able to gain my country the spot in the Olympic Games, where I placed 3rd. And that secured the United States a spot to the Olympic Games. And then
that was an unnamed spot?
That was an unnamed spot, yes. So anybody going into the last trial could have gotten the spot. And then when I went to my last Olympic trial, I ended up doing really well, and I secured the spot for the United States for myself to the Olympic Games. And I think it was like 5 points ahead of the second girl. So I kind of crushed it.
Yeah. So there wasn't really any surprise. Nobody had
No.
to tell you were going, like you saw the scores and you.
I knew. So all I had to do was do 2 routines in prelims in St. Louis. And I did a really good compulsory routine. And then leading into my optional routine, Dmitri was like, "We're watering down your routine. We're going to do an easier routine instead of your harder one, just so I can hit 10 skills." And I ended up knocking it out of the park. I mean, I did one of the best routines ever for a routine that I haven't competed in since I was probably like 12 years old. But I mean, it was easier. And immediately when I finished that routine, I saluted and I just started crying. I like turned around, Dmitri told me congratulations. I didn't even have to look at the score. I already knew that I was going to the Olympics, and this Olympics, so much more emotional. I don't know why, but it is.
Yeah. So talk to me about the difference between that versus going into the 2016 games.
So going into the 2016 Olympic Games, we still had the same process of 3 trials, best 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a baby. I had just turned 18 years old, so I wasn't really expecting to go to the 2016 Olympics. And then Charlotte ended up getting hurt, and that put me in front of going into the finals. I was leading in first, and my score came up in finals, and I had qualified myself to the 2016 Olympic Games. And it was surreal. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was super excited, but I was just so young, and my whole life people had told me that I was projected for the 2020 Olympic Games. It was never the 2016. So when I made it in 2016, I was just like a kid. I was excited. It was such a great moment. But now going into this Olympic Games, before I had been named, I was told for my whole life that 2020 is the Olympic Games that you are going to shoot for. This is what you should be projected to go to.
Yeah.
So like the whole time I'm training, that's in the back of my head. And I think that's why it's so much more emotional, is because so many people told me that this was the Olympic Games that I was supposed to go to. And then I qualified myself to the Olympic Games for the second time.
Yeah.
And it just feels so much more deserving. Like I know I deserved this one. I know that I was the best. I am the best. And it just is, it's a really awesome feeling knowing that I get to represent my country again to the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was there at the last trial at USA Gym Champs in 2016, and the girls came out for prelims, and it was like, where's Charlotte?
Yeah.
She wasn't there. And then it was like, who's Nicole Ahsinger? Which one is she? And now it's like, oh, Nicole's.
Yeah, it was super hard because in 2016, I was jumping just as well as the other girls. I mean, Charlotte was doing very well, but I had placed at every single competition. So when Charlotte ended up getting hurt, it was like everybody assumed that it would have been Shaylee. And it was just kind of hard because I knew that I could have done it too. And then I showed everyone that I did it, and they were still like, I'm sorry about Charlotte. And it just like this time around, I feel like people were looking at me like, this is Nicole Ahsinger. Nicole Ahsinger's headed for the Olympic Games. And so it just feels like more people are supporting me. And that's what makes this one so much more exciting.
Yeah, looking back, you had a great season great run leading up to 2016, but you were still kind of flying under the radar a little bit with a lot of people. And now it's like, everybody knows who you are, and there's no drama. It's fair and square. It's Nicole all the way. Now, like, okay, it's official. You're getting on a plane for Tokyo in 2 days. Like, is the intensity level different?
I want to say yes, but I feel like nothing really has changed other than our schedule. I mean, before leading up to the trials, we were training 6 days a week, 2 times a day, routines on routines on routines. And then now for this Olympic Games, he's kind of changed the schedule a bit to where we have 4 days on, 1 day off, just to make us peak at the right time. But the trainings still include routines after routines after routines and cleaning up everything. So basically, like, the training atmosphere and the training style hasn't changed very much.
Yeah. Did you expect to be competing in 2021 after you got back from the London Olympics in 2016?
Rio.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, but
You're
same
right.
thing.
I was just watching YouTube from London.
No, you're good.
Rio, thank you.
Actually, yes. I like I said before, my whole life I've been projected to go to the 2020 Olympic Games. And so when I went to 2016, not a thought in my mind was, Nicole, I think your time is done. You should quit. You've already done it. I already knew that I wanted to go to the 2020 Olympic Games to do even better than I did before. Yeah. So I think after the Olympic Games, I like considered it, maybe, like, it was like, okay, I reached my peak, but then I got so much better. And as terrible as COVID was, I feel like COVID really made me focus all of my energy on trampoline. And I've gotten so much better in a year that I cannot imagine in 3 years how good I'll be for the 2024 Olympics.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Okay. What are you most looking forward to in Tokyo?
So aside from the competition, because I feel like everybody's excited to compete, I think I'm really excited to go to opening ceremonies to see and meet all the athletes, take pictures with everybody,
Yeah.
as COVID friendly as you can be.
Mhm.
But I'm really excited to go to opening ceremonies, and I'm super excited to be in the athlete village just because it was just so cool being there last time, seeing all these different athletes and being around so many amazing athletes. It was a surreal experience. I remember I was going up into my room. I was like in the elevator heading up to like the 10th floor of my room. And I like walk in, looking down at my phone, like not even thinking of anything of it. And I like look to the behind me, and there's Michael Phelps. And I literally was like, I try to play it cool with people. And I'm like, I try to be cool, but I could not be cool. I was freaking out. I had looked up to Michael Phelps my entire life, and I tried to be like, just chill, like not stare at him as I'm like gawking at him. Like, I cannot believe that he's this big and this tall. And it was crazy. And then he asked me what sport I played, and I said trampoline. And then, like, of course, my mind goes to say, I would ask you what sport you play, but I already know who you are. Like,
Right.
I was just so uncool. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, it was just so crazy. And I remember I called my mom afterwards, and I was like, I just met Michael Phelps. It
So
was like, I was like a kid in a candy shop.
yeah, that's awesome. What is the most intimidating thing about being on the Olympic team?
Hmm. I think being on the Olympic team for the United States, it's intimidating just because the US is so amazing at the Olympics. And it actually pushes me to want to do better because of how many amazing athletes are on. Sorry, I've been taking a COVID test and it just showed up negative. So we're
Yeah.
good. um, but I think it's just like, it pushes me to be a better athlete.
Mm.
And I'm just super excited to get to the Olympic Games and watch all these other Olympians from the US do so well that I want to do just as well as they are.
Yeah, you have a great country to represent.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Do you think of yourself as a celebrity? And Sarah Webster was telling me about how y'all were on TV with Good Morning New Orleans, and of course, this is your second Olympic game, so people have known about you for 5 years now. What's
Yeah.
that like?
I really don't think of myself as a celebrity, but I will say this Olympics, I have gotten way more interviews than I had before.
Mhm.
Like, I'm doing this whole thing with like Inside Edition and just like some cool interviews that I've been doing, that are more nationally rather than locally.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's just kind of cool scrolling. I got scrolled through my Facebook the other day, and a sponsored ad came up, and it was my interview from Hollywood Life. And I was like, wait, this is so weird. And my friends are screenshotting like their sponsored ad, and it's my interview. And that's just like, that kind of is a little surreal that my face is coming up, and like, why? I mean, I'm just going to the Olympics. I don't really think anything of it, but it is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's way cool. What are you doing in your life outside of gymnastics right now? School, work, or is it just training?
I am in school. Currently, I'm on summer, so no school, but I am a full-time student. Hopefully, will graduate in the spring of 2022. Um, and other than that, I am full-blown in training mode, training for this Olympics. And then I'm going to come back, take a little bit of a break, and then start training for World Championships.
Cool. And what are you studying? What do you go back to school for in the fall?
I'm in journalism, so I am currently in hopes to I guess, pursue a career in broadcasting, sports commentating, sports interviewing, anything of that source for any major news company, that would be amazing.
That'd be really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, we need more good gymnastics commentators.
Yes, definitely for trampoline.
Definitely for trampoline.
I've told Flow Gymnastics that I definitely want to commentate for trampoline.
So you've
So
got to make that happen.
definitely.
You've got to make that happen.
I think I'd be good at it at least.
Yeah. Okay, I got a couple questions from our kids here at Apex because word gets around. All right, Michelle wants to know how many hours you train a week.
So we train 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. So about 24 hours just in the gym. And then I do outside training. So I'd say about like 30 to 35 hours a week is all towards trampoline gymnastics.
That's a full-time job right there.
Definitely.
Vanna and Cadence want to know, what is your favorite skill?
My favorite skill is a full Branny straight, which is a double front flip in a straight position. First flip, you do a 360 twist, and then the second flip, you do a half twist.
Awesome. And Kendall asks you, what kept you going when you felt like quitting? Were there any times in your career when you felt like quitting?
I want to say no, but as an athlete, I mean, you go through your ups and downs, and I think the most down I've ever been that has made me thought about quitting was probably when the Olympics were postponed. They said that the Olympics had been pushed back a year, and I was debating, am I going to continue to train for a year? What is my life going to consist of? How is this going to work? What if, and then the thought of, what if I train this entire year and the Olympics get canceled? And so all that went through my head, and I did think about quitting, but then at the same time, I just kept telling myself that I would be so upset going into this Olympic Games if I wasn't competing. And I think that is like one of the biggest things that athletes don't really think about, is that they think they're at their low point and they want to quit, and they quit. And then they don't really think about what it would feel like to not be on that team or not travel to this place. And I think that is like a really key factor. And if you feel a slight bit, that you would be upset that you weren't on the national team, or you weren't traveling to world championships, or even going with your teammates to states or regionals or even nationals, then you got to stick it out. I believe that a person shouldn't quit when they're struggling. I think a person should quit when they are doing their best and they truly believe that, I've gone into the gym every day and I'm doing super well, but this isn't what I want to do anymore. That's when somebody should quit.
Yeah. Not because of the difficulties, but because you feel like you're ready to move on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's super important. Any advice for parents of athletes who have kids or athletes who want to go to the Olympics someday?
I'm going to take it personally and say that I was a 16-year-old little girl who for my entire life dreamt about going to the Olympic Games, and I begged my mother to let me move to Louisiana to train for my dream, and she didn't want to. My parents, as supportive as they were, they didn't want their little girl to move all the way across the country to train for a dream that may or may not happen. And I think the biggest thing that parents need to realize is that, or at least understand, is that when your child has a dream and they are going to do everything they can to achieve that dream, you have to help them. And that's why I thank my parents so much, because I definitely wouldn't be here without their support and love and everything they do for me, because a parent's job at least for an Olympic athlete and for myself, is just supporting them in everything they want to do.
What made you decide you wanted to go to the Olympics? I mean, for a 3-year-old, obviously, I think every girl that puts on a leotard wants, to compete at the highest level. But at a certain point, you become self-aware of how high this mountain is that you have to climb. When was the point where you realized, like, no, I'm really going to do whatever it takes to make this happen?
I think it was when it was back in 2014. It was the Youth Olympic Games, and I had qualified myself to go to the Youth Olympics in Nanjing, China. And I kind of realized then that this is just such a small little thing compared to the Olympic Games. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, yes, I was doing very well for a junior elite athlete, but I wasn't nearly as good enough to compete on the full Olympic stage. And I think at that moment, I kind of just had to realize that I need to give this my entire 100% in my life mm-hmm. to get myself to the Olympics. And that's when I became more determined. That's when I started asking my mother, can I move to Louisiana? Please let me train under Dmitri, because I knew that that was where I was going to go to achieve my dream.
Yeah. Quick, rapid fire, 5 questions. First thing, not allowed to think about it. You gotta come right
rapid
out.
Fire.
Whatever comes out of your mouth first. All right. Number 1, what's the one item that would ruin your trip to Tokyo if you didn't have it in your carry-on bag?
My pillow.
That's what Sarah said.
Really?
Is it a neck pillow or is it your actual?
No, like my actual pillow.
Y'all are a pair.
I'm gonna have to tell her.
Who's the one person you'd really love to meet in Tokyo? Another athlete or coach?
Allison Felix.
Okay. That was pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Rapid fire.
Sliders or tennis shoes?
Oh, tennis shoes.
All the time, even in the gym?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What are you bringing back from Japan in your suitcase?
My medal.
That's what I'm talking about. Favorite meal to eat before a big meet?
Before a big meet? I want to say pizza, but it's so bad. I'm going to say pizza.
Okay. I know you have a lot of work to do, more training today, and busy next couple days, and then you're going to be in airports for a little bit. Who would you like to give a shout out to or say thank you to for the support along the way and getting you to the 21 Olympic Games in Tokyo?
I think I would just like to say thank you to my coach, Dmitri, for always being there. Thank you to my parents for supporting me and believing in me. Thank you to my best friends who have been on this journey with me for the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then thank you to my teammates for continuously training with me every single day and supporting me. And we support each other and we lean on each other, and we've all been through the highs and lows, but I mean, all 3 of us are going, and that's the most amazing thing in the entire world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate your time. I know you're super busy. I'll let you get back to training.
Okay.
Have a good one. Kick some tail in Tokyo.
Oh, most definitely.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye.